Welcome back after the lunch. And yes, we have two more sessions to go. And now it's time for the next session, H. And the session is a role of management in hospital redefined. To proceed the session, I would like to invite our chairs, Dr. Anil Gupta, Medical Superintendent and Head of Hospital Administration, PGIMER India, S.K. Konodia, Managing Director of Nepalganj Medical College, Dr. Dheeraj Manandar, Assistant Professor, Department of, and we have 5 speakers under this. Mr. Bachchu Kailas Kaini from UK, and Mr. Ravi Pradhan, and Mr. Milan Gurung, and Dr. Nilambar Jha, and last but not the least, Mr. Niroli. So, I just request the chairpersons to proceed the session.
Let's start the session. Of course, after a very sumptuous delight lunch, it is a little difficult to keep you awake. But then I must compliment the organizer. They have lined up good topics with very good speakers. As is very common that hospital management is a very challenging task. Everything is challenging. But when it comes to hospital administration challenging task is concerned, there are more challenges than a human person can solve it. The only way is innovation and introduction of the technology. In that, improving interprofessional interaction, de-stressing the people, knowing how to address the challenges, how to overcome the challenges, and ensure that the marketing of hospital and its services on ethical lines is adhered to, and above all, do we need to have professional hospital administrators to manage such hospitals? These are the large topics which will be covered by learned speakers. With these words, I hand over the mic to my other colleague, chairperson, Dr. Kanodia. Dr. Kanodia, please.
Dr. Bachchu Kailas Kaini, who is presently working in UK, interprofessional working in hospitals, the case of Nepal. Please, who is going to conduct? Online. Okay. Please.
Mr. Kaini, you may proceed now with your presentation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thanks.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. This is an empirical research conducted in Nepal in 2013 as a part of my PhD research I did from the University of Greenwich. In today's presentations, I'm presenting as purely a research graduate, research student from the University of Greenwich, not as a clinical governance manager from the University of Queen Elizabeth Hospital, or not as a counselor from Dartford Borough Council. So my presentations is mainly focused how different healthcare professionals, they interact, they collaborate, and what are the issues and challenges back in Nepal in terms of interprofessional working in Nepalese hospitals. So this is a research conducted in 2013, but it is a hard work of 4 years, continuous 4 years, and I'm asked to present these presentations within 15 minutes, which is very challenging to present within the time limit, but I'll try my best to finish the presentations within 15 minutes. Thank you very much. In today's session, I will briefly discuss about the context of interprofessional working and its relevance in healthcare. I'll also talk about the research objectives, research methods, research findings, and some of the recommendations came out from the research. So coming to the context of health services, we all know that healthcare is very much a labor-intensive activity, one of the very complex complex services that human beings deliver to its service users, to its patients. So in that context, the success and failure of health service delivery is mainly depend on how healthcare professionals they interact, they collaborate, and they join hands together. And importantly, healthcare professionals they work in various forms, various different kind of disciplines, and different kind of disciplines have their own kind of philosophies and different kind of thoughts. So over the last few years, we have seen a lot of changes. Over the last few decades, we have seen a lot of changes on the way health services are delivered across the world. For example, there are changes in demographic structures, there are changes in the disease pattern, there are new specialties and sub-specialties are emerged within the health sectors, and the cost of healthcare is going up and up every year. We have observed not only in the developing countries, but also in the developed countries like in the United Kingdom. And the service users or the patients in health services are very much well informed because of a lot of services, a lot of information technologies available to service users in today's context. And one thing I would like to highlight here is the role of healthcare professionals. When I'm talking about healthcare professionals, I'm mainly talking about the medical professionals, nursing professionals, and allied health professionals, which is like radiographer, pharmacists, physiotherapists, and so on and so forth. These three groups of healthcare professionals' role have been expanded not only within the clinical field, but also in developing or preparing policies and guidance and protocols for health service delivery across the world. So in this changing context, healthcare professionals have to actually be smarter. They have to work together. They have to find out the new ways of working for effective health service delivery, which is collaborative practice or interprofessional care. So coming to interprofessional care, I'll briefly describe what literature says about the interprofessional care or interprofessional working. So interprofessional working is mainly a collaborative practices between healthcare professionals where they actually work together for the common purpose of delivering health services to their service users, to the patients. And they do jointly develop care plan. They deliver health services jointly. In this context, what we can say is that the healthcare professionals, when they do deliver interprofessional care, they pool their skills, knowledge, and expertise together, and they share their professional viewpoints for the effective delivery of health services. That's how healthcare professionals, they make joint decisions. And one of the most important aspects of interprofessional care is learning from each other. Healthcare professionals, they learn from each other. There are different literatures published on this field, on the interprofessional working, and most of the research findings are, the researches are carried out in the Northern America, like Canada or United Kingdom or United States, or the European countries like the United Kingdom or other European countries. So what it mainly says that the interprofessional working is beneficial for service users, for healthcare professionals, for healthcare systems and healthcare organizations. And there are a lot of clinical evidence that shows that when healthcare professionals, they work collaboratively, when they work in an interprofessional care team, that reduces clinical incidents, that reduces misunderstanding and errors, and that enables healthcare professionals to deliver health services more effectively. So that's how more positive healthcare outcomes are achieved by working together when healthcare professionals work together. So there are other aspects of interprofessional working. For an example, the leadership roles, their competencies, their organizational aspects, their perceived benefits and barriers and challenges. So my research is mainly focused on the power aspects of theory of professions. The power aspect or the professional power aspects of theory of professions was mainly conceptualized by Friedson in 1970s, and he then developed the theory in 1980s and 1990s. And there are a lot of researches done on the theory of professions or sociology of professions. So what theory of professions says that the different professions, they divide their labor. The division of labor is based mainly on their expertise, on their skills, and on their expertise. So that's how professionals are differentiated from the other occupational groups based on their knowledge, based on their control, based on their regulations, based on their many other aspects. And Friedson says, not only Fritzons, other scholars also says that knowledge is basically a source of power, and knowledge has got influence in determining how different professionals they behave, and also the dominance aspects of professions. So another point, Fritzen suggests that medical dominance exists in healthcare services, and this kind of professional dominance exists because of many reasons, because of their expertise, because of their roles, because of their trainings, because of their backgrounds. There are so many other things, and that sort of professional dominance comes from the autonomy. Autonomy is mainly about their authority to make decisions, about their status, about their other kind of knowledge and expertise that make them more kind of autonomous people. So I'm coming to my research objectives. I'll briefly mention what are my research objectives. So my main aim of the research is to assess how different healthcare professionals, they collaborate. And I'm especially interested in perceptions of healthcare professionals, how they collaborate, and secondly, to assess healthcare professionals' perceptions of interprofessional working on healthcare delivery. So I will, I did some sort of analysis and found, assessed how they interact, how they collaborate, and what are the different factors that support and hinder interprofessional working in Nepalese hospitals. And also I examined the power perspectives of theory of professions or sociology of professions. And I relate that theory of professions with interprofessional working. And finally, my objective was to make recommendations for improving interprofessional collaborative practices in Nepalese hospitals. So coming to the research methodology, it was purely a qualitative research, and I did case studies in 3 hospitals in Nepal. And in terms of sampling, there were 38 healthcare professionals from 3 hospitals. One hospital was a public hospital, another hospital was private hospital, and third hospital was the charitable organizations, hospitals run by charitable organizations or voluntary, not for the profit hospitals. So I have got 40% nursing, 34 medical professionals, and 16 allied health professionals, 26% allied health professionals. That means 15 nurses, 13 medical professionals, and 10 allied health professionals were interviewed by using semi-structured interview schedule. And the interview lasts from 45 minutes to 1 hour, plus some of the interviews were more than an hour. And also I did analyze the documented evidence of hospital policies or protocols or strategies or the informations about the healthcare professionals. And in terms of analysis of the research, I did qualitative content analysis by doing interpretive thematic approach. What I did is I coded all those informations. I categorized them into different categories. I generated theme from those categories, and I established relationship between different categories, and I interpreted those findings and draw conclusions. So this is the demographics of my research, of my samples and the participants there. And I'm coming to the main findings of the research. What my research suggests that, as I already said, that it is based on the perceptions of healthcare professionals. They were interviewed in Nepalese hospital, mainly in 3 hospitals in Kathmandu. So what they said, that interprofessional working is very much beneficial to all service users, healthcare professionals, healthcare organizations, and health system. And they recognized the importance and they understood the value of interprofessional working, despite the fact that interprofessional working is relatively a new field in Nepal. And also there are very much, pretty much no policies, national policies or guidance published for interprofessional working in Nepalese hospitals, for Nepalese hospitals. There are policies on the national health policies which says collaborative practices between agencies, not between the professionals. And also I did not see anything particularly mentioned about the code of conduct or the guidance on published by different healthcare, different professional councils in Nepal. And also healthcare professionals at the same time, they carried out different kind of roles and responsibilities. For an example, at some point, healthcare professionals, they work as a mentor, some points they work as a collaborator, sometimes they work as a facilitator, or sometimes they purely work as a service provider. and they carry out different kind of roles and responsibilities at the same time. And most of the time, healthcare professionals, they use verbal means of communications while they communicate between different professionals. And other means of communications were used, the medical notes, they do write findings or the communications for patient care on medical notes, and some of the hospitals, they do run team meetings for interprofessional working. And one of the important findings for this research is service users' involvement in interprofessional care. The patient's involvement in health service is not a new concept, but patients' involvement in interprofessional care is relatively a new concept. And Nepalese healthcare professionals, they valued the importance of involving healthcare service users. And coming to power perspectives of my findings, different healthcare professionals, they perceive their power or status differently. For an example, medical professionals, they are the highly respected, highly recognized group of professionals in Nepalese context. And that's the reason that the healthcare professionals felt that there is a dominance of medical professionals in Nepalese hospitals, not only to deliver the health services, but also to develop the hospital policies, to run hospitals or to manage hospitals. There is a great amount of medical dominance in Nepalese hospital. It is not experienced not only by nursing or allied health professionals, but it was also experienced by medical professionals. They also perceived that medical dominance exists in Nepalese hospitals. And that's the reason that medical professionals led interprofessional care team. And also medical professionals are the highly autonomous group of healthcare professionals. But healthcare professionals, they felt that the boundaries between different healthcare professionals are changing. For an example, nursing professionals are more recognized nowadays. Allied health professionals are also valued in terms of delivering health services, not only by the healthcare professionals, but also public recognize their role, their responsibilities in terms of delivering health services. And also this research finds some of the cultural and gender differences in medical, nursing, and allied health professionals. For an example, nursing is just the only female professions in Nepal, and other professions, there is a great amount of male dominance in that professions, and that's how people feel some sort of gender differences or the cultural differences. So as I already said, that healthcare professionals, they felt that there is no significant contact between one or another healthcare professionals during their university life, during their university educations. There is no formal way of teaching them in one way or teaching them interprofessional skills and knowledge to deliver interprofessional care. So that is one of the concerns they expressed. And they felt that even though there are no learnings or teaching activities in universities, or there are no that sort of activities in hospitals, but they said that they learn interprofessional skills at work, and they always feel that they are competent in delivering healthcare services to health service users. And in that context, I can say people expressed their perceptions that interprofessional working in Nepalese context is not sufficiently motivated, and there is a great amount of appreciation lacking from national level, national organizations like ministries or departments, or also from the organizational level. So I can say that the concept of interprofessional working and power perspective or professional power perspectives of theory of professions are equally applicable in Nepalese context, but there are some sort of barriers in interprofessional working in Nepalese context. First thing is the organizational barriers. As I already said, that there are no appropriate training and educations in terms of delivering interprofessional care between different professions. There are no protocols at national and the local level, and people said that there is a high workload. That's the reason that they don't have enough time to interact between other professions. And healthcare professionals said that there is no support from management within the organizational level. And also in terms of professional barriers, they felt that there is a great amount of professional dominance and isolations from a particular group of healthcare professionals, and the organizational structure are so much hierarchical, so that only medical professionals, they are on the top of organizational hierarchy, and there are very few people, they run the organization. And personal barriers like poor communications, or they feel egoism between some professions, the negative attitude, or no mutual respect to each other professionals. So what are the ways to improve the interprofessional working practices in Nepal? First thing is the training and education. It's the right time to introduce training and educations at university level, at college level, at different levels, so that healthcare professionals are sufficiently trained, they are skilled, and they gain expertise to deliver interprofessional working. There is a lagging of policies and guidance at national and organization level. That's the right time to develop such policies for interprofessional working. And importantly, clinical leadership, because clinicians, they run the organizations, clinicians, they manage the hospitals, and they run the team. In that context, clinical leadership, they should motivate other people to equally engage, to train them on different aspects of interprofessional care. And also they play a role model for delivery of health services. And in terms of organizations, they have to give a right opportunity, they have to develop different sort of tasks, roles and responsibilities at organizational level, and they need to provide support. And finally, there has to be appropriate means of communications, respectful communications, open communications, and honest communications between healthcare professionals, so that everyone can learn from each other, and most importantly, service users or patients gain from interprofessional working. Thank you very much.
Any question, please?
Yeah, that's right. This is a question time for me.
He is online, I think.
Can you show? Can I close the PowerPoint?
Please. Can you listen?
Yeah, I can listen to you. Yeah, you can come come with the questions. Yeah, if you have any quick questions. Good afternoon.
My name is Saksham Suvedi. I'm representing
Hi.
National Student Society of Healthcare Management, Nepal. And I have a
Hi.
question. The last subtopic you were discussing about is improving interpersonal care. Yes, sir? So, despite all the
Go on.
points, where does the moral character upbringing stands there? Because, however, we try to improve, but the moral side always takes place, isn't it, sir? So, where does moral character can be placed and decided in those points you have stated, sir?
Thank you very much for the questions. Moral side, basically, it's a kind of personal attributes that healthcare professionals, they learn different sort of skills during their university educations, during their courses, and also they practice. They do clinical practices within the clinical setup, and they personally feel the responsibility for developing that sort of skills, so that they respect each other. They actually they respect not only the healthcare professionals, also they respect service users, and that's how everyone is valued in terms of delivering health service. So that was the reason that I mentioned one of the points here is about the ego and negative attitude, and also no mutual respect from each other. These are the personal attributes that healthcare professionals have to be. So what I feel is it is a change in culture. So we need to think that in a broader context, and also the responsibility of healthcare professionals, all healthcare professionals, they have to think the delivery of health services from the patient's perspective, and also they need to think health service delivery from the organizational perspectives as well.
Good afternoon, Dr. Bachu. This is Dr. Rawat. I am representing Norwich Hospital here, and thank you very much.
Hi.
First, from the technical committee, we are thankful for this wonderful talk. Interprofessional working in hospitals is extremely important. My question to you is, have you found differences between the institutes which are run by doctor versus non-doctor?
So very good questions. I was expecting that sort of questions. So what I think is I don't have that sort of references back in Nepal, because all these hospitals in Nepal are mainly run by medical professionals. I have personally experienced that thing, and also the research when I conducted that research. all of the department heads or the senior management positions were held by medical professionals back in Nepal. But my personal experience, like in this country where I am working within the National Health Services, uh, most of the hospitals, more than 95% of the hospitals are run by non-medical personnels like hospital managers. So I can compare how hospitals are run in this country, which are mainly run by non-medical professionals, like management graduates are the chief executive officers of the hospitals. In this country, I have already worked in 7 hospitals, very, very renowned hospitals in London. And all those hospitals were run by non-medical professionals. And I can share my personal experience, but unfortunately, those hospitals where I visited in Nepal were run by medical professionals. I can share my personal experience, but I cannot comment from the perspectives of the research.
Thank you, Dr.
Dr. Rao.
Please. Please. Thank you, Dr. Kenny, for a nice presentation. Our hospital
Thank you very much
services
for giving me this chance. Sorry.
It's a teamwork, and we must develop good relations and respect to our team members. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next presentation.
I'd like to request Mr. Ravi Pradhan to come on the dais. He has over 35 years of experience as a manager, entrepreneur, organizational consultant, and management trainer. And he had his MBA done from Delhi University, and he had mentors like Fernando Flores and Professor David Copperrider. He had been working in, now he's working with Nepal Police Academy to develop the concept of institutional effectiveness and leadership. He had worked with several clients like UNDP, UNICEF, USAID, and DFIDs, and he has several essays published, including an article based on his work in hospital, the transformative power of appreciative conversation. And he thinks that why is soft so hard? A paper by him represents his thinking on change management. Welcome.
Thank you, and good afternoon. I know you've had a full day of sitting on your chairs and big lunch, so I want to point to one word. If you look at the slide, it says dojo. Dojo is a Japanese word. It has 2 meanings. A hall or place to practice martial art. The second meaning is a hall or place to practice meditation. So today, even though we're sitting here and I'm supposed to give a lecture, I want to ask you to think of this like you're in a dojo. In a dojo, you don't sit, you practice. You don't think that much, you practice with your body. So, because most of you I know, just a little quote. This is by a very famous Danish philosopher. And I'm sure you see this among your patients, but I also see this among my clients who are people like you. Typical day, right? You're juggling 50 different things. People, mostly. So, we're going to practice. Please, you have to stand up for practice. Everybody, please. Okay. So, very simple. Can you hear me? Put your hands on the side, feet, so you can balance yourself. Okay. Look down and look ahead. Now, feel your feet. Not think your feet, not imagine your feet. Feel your feet biologically, physiologically. Feel the feet, the shoes on the floor. See how does it feel? Just imagine you're standing on the floor. Your head is touching the sky. How does it feel? Start with your feet, go, and your ankles and your knees. They are actually supporting your whole body. to see how it feels. Go up to your abdomen. I know you had a big lunch. How does it feel? What's the sensation? Heavy, loose, tight? Come up to your heart, chest area. How does that feel? Can you actually feel your heartbeat? Okay. Now come up to your neck, the shoulders maybe even. Are they tight? Then come up to your neck and your head. How does the head feel? Too much pressure from sitting and listening to all these lectures? Or light? Just feel your body standing, head touching the sky. Pure sensation. Okay, good. Keep standing, please. Keep standing, please. We're going to do we'll do about 3 minutes of deep breathing exercises. How many here do yoga or Tai Chi, Qigong? Tai Chi, Qigong, yoga. So this is like pranayam, but I'm going to combine some yoga and some Qigong, which I do both. So you may have to put your feet apart a little bit. So you're all quite healthy, I assume. So we're going to breathe in several different ways. First, breathing in, deep breath. Use the diaphragm at least 7 or 8 seconds. At least 7 or 8 seconds means 1001, 1002, 100. At least 7. If you cannot at this age breathe till 7, then you don't know what deep breathing is. I don't care how many doctor's degrees you have. Breathe in 7 seconds, 1001. And then you throw out, control 7 seconds. 7 in, 7 out. 7 in, 7 out. Okay, Guru, please start. Go out. When you throw out, control, your diaphragm will collapse a little bit, so your head will go down. That's normal. Okay, another one. So last, you have to use this. The last one. Okay, out. Okay, next one, little easier. Next one, 5 in. You hold the breath for 5, and you're out 5. So 5 in, 5 hold, 5 out. Control out, control out. One more. One more, last. Okay. We still have more to go. This is we're just warming up. Next one. 7 in, 9 out. Okay, 7 in, 9 out means you really have to control your breath, huh? Really control. Okay, 7 in, 9 out. 7 गाह्रो छ भने 5 गऱ्यो हुन्छ 5 5. Let's do one more. Two more. I'm going to do a Qigong one, just to give you a little taste. You know, Qigong, Chinese, Japanese, Qi means energy, prana. So the same principle, but they have a slightly different technique. They believe that there is prana, chi energy in the universe. So we're going to collect the chi energy and pour it down the crown of the head all the way to the kundalini or solar plexus chi. Here, just below the navel. You're going to bring it, and you imagine it's coming to the crown of the head, storing in chi. Bring it, store it. So your logbook, you should try to do for about 4 or 5 seconds at least. Okay, and you go down 4 or 5 seconds. Okay, start. So you imagine chi, you're collecting chi. Then chi pouring down to the crown of the head. One more. So you bend your knees when you come down a little bit, but don't worry about bending too much. One more. Okay. This last one is again from Yoga Pranayama. This is to stimulate primarily the sympathetic nervous system, which gives you more energy. So I'll demonstrate one. You breathe in. So not on the 7 gallons, right? You throw it out of your mouth. It's okay. So okay. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Not for the 5 minutes. Okay, now stand again. Again, stand. Feel your body from your feet and up. How does the body feel? How does the feet feel? Knees. How does the stomach feel? Your heart should be beating a little faster now. How does the head feel? Okay, please sit. Hello? Okay. Oh. So how many of you do regular breathing practice? Very few I noticed here. Less than 2%. So what does medical science say about how deep breathing affects the human physiology and the mind? Very simple. The key finding is that it affects the vagus nerve. It strengthens vagal tone. Especially out-breath has a bigger effect than in-breath. Out-breath, so pranayama, qigong, the out-breath is always controlled. There are many techniques for out-breath. Very important, because the vagus nerve connects the entire organs to the brain. And then of course it balances the ANS system, which all of you should know, right? Reduces the effect of stress. Most recent study, my wife was, anyway, I'll tell you about it later. Most recent study, they took electrodes implanted behind the vagus nerve. This was just done a few years ago in Holland, about 50 patients. Patients who were chronic rheumatoid arthritis. Chronic case of RA. Chronic, they could hardly even walk. By implanting the electrodes and stimulating the vagus nerve on a regular basis, they were able to walk, do normal daily activities, reduce the pain medication drastically, reduce medication for RA drastically. Now, this is just one study by electrodes. Breathing may not have the same effect, but certainly we know that it does the vagus. So we're going to practice a little bit now of mindfulness meditation. In the East, I can say mindfulness meditation. In the West, especially in the US and UK, meditation is still not an accepted concept or terminology. So I'll talk about that later. So we'll practice this on a chair. The idea is the body to be still. You want to be aware of your breath, aware of the sounds, aware of the body. But I'll give you the instruction. We'll do it step by step. And what's important is to recognize that you have to be kind to yourself here. You will not do it the way you think you should or the way someone else told you. you would do it the way you do it. It's okay. No matter what happens, it's okay. So that's why you need kindness. No matter what happens, it's okay. No matter what happens, I'm okay. And no comments or analysis when you go through each of those steps. So I will get on the stage just so you can see me. Key point is to keep your spine straight, so no leaning back, straight. And head is not like this, head is not like this. Head is with the chin down slightly. Okay to open mouth, it makes it a little easier, but if you want to close your mouth, it's okay. So we will do for a few minutes only, literally, just for a few minutes. But this is to see for yourself, what does it take to really build my capacity for awareness and attention? Two things. Awareness and attention to some very simple phenomena. But for you to see, can you imagine doing this throughout the day? So, okay. So can you hear me now? Okay, good. So please, as you sit here, it's okay to close your eyes. Just sit here, feel comfortable. Once you feel settled in, your body is breathing normally. Count till 21. So each round, one round means coming in, going out, 1. Coming in, going out, 2. We're going to count till the count of 10. You do your own counting. Then after that, I'll say focus on the sound and focus on this. So let's start, please. If thoughts appear, let them appear, they will disappear by themselves. That's normal. And focus back to the breath and counting. If you can, please open your eyes as you're counting. Now focus on the sounds around you. Whatever sounds you hear, no comment, not trying to identify what kind of sound it is, no analysis of the sound. Just listen to the sounds as sounds. Again, normal for thoughts to show up. Let them show up, they will disappear by themselves. Now bring your attention to your left foot, starting with the toes. Pay attention to how they feel. Are your shoes tight? Feel hot? And then slowly move your attention up through your ankles and all the way to your hip joint, left hip joint. Pay attention to how it feels, temperature-wise, muscle-wise. And your hip joints. the bottom. Is it too much pressure from sitting all morning? Now bring your attention to your right foot, starting with the toes. You can pay attention to the sensations. How does the feet and the toes and the soles of your feet and ankles really feel? And come up to your hip joint slowly. If you find that you're falling asleep, please open your eyes.